You see, of late, I'm sure you'd agree with me that there's been an increase in the use of shisha smoking. It's like everywhere you go, you see mostly young people actually smoking shisha. Now, some of these problems are because there's this general feel amongst most people that shisha is less of a poison to me. Okay, people tend to think that traditional cigarette smoking is still what is going to kill your lungs and cause you all those bad side effects that we say smoking does. But everybody seems to turn a blind eye, or they would rather choose to be ignorant of the fact that shisha can actually cause you so much damage. So we're at a point where smoking basically has reached a point of social acceptance, to the point that where young women too are actually indulging in it, and they feel comfortable in that space, because generally there's always been this segregation with smoking where mostly males do it. Young women are not very comfortable coming out as to the fact that they smoke. We know that they do smoke, but when it comes to shisha, it's free for everybody. There are no tags about everybody, and that's why it's a big concern. Now you may be wondering, where did this whole thing come from? Well, from my research, shisha is coming from India, and it was used mostly by affluent people in places of stature. Okay, these are people that had made it in life, and they were using shisha as a way to show that they had. And even from way back, it was associated with status, and that could contribute to why we are seeing these hookahs. You see, the hookahs are actually the glass cylinders, the tubings that are used to smoke shisha. Shisha itself is just tobacco. Shisha is just a word, another name for tobacco, a different type of tobacco, but shisha is just tobacco. And then they are smoking this tobacco through an instrument called a hookah. And what happens is that usually this tobacco is heated up, the shisha is heated up using charcoal. And once that happens, when something is burning, you have production of carbon monoxide. So there's actually a lot of carbon monoxide that's coming in through. So we are seeing a lot of these hookahs and smoking of shisha in very, like nice places, like the nice places that serve good food in town. And you see them having these hookahs because they're associated with stature. Because when you're smoking this, you have to come from a different class, or it signifies something greater. You don't find these in very small, simple places of eating, actually, in most places. And this is the trap that most people are falling for, because they think that shisha is safe. But is that the case? So the question still stands: Is shisha as dangerous as I'm saying it is? Well, there's a lot of research that has actually been done by World Health Organization, and there's a lot of data out there that is actually very strong on the fact that shisha is actually more dangerous than traditional cigarettes. Yes, it is actually. So somebody who, we're not saying that you should smoke one cigarette, we're just saying somebody who smokes one cigarette has less exposure than somebody who has a session of shisha for an hour, because roughly just the amount of smoked that is exchanged, it is estimated that smoking shisha for an hour, somebody would have inhaled and exhaled at least 90,000 meals of smoke. That's a lot of smoke. 90,000 meals of smoke. Now, this is little in comparison to traditional cigarettes, where one cigarette basically you just smoke about 500 to 600 meals. So, can you see the level of exposure? So, because of those large amounts of smoke that you're inhaling and exhaling, it also increases your exposure levels. You see, people that smoke shisha have been found to be exposed to carbon monoxide at least 1.9 times. 1.9 times, okay, more than someone who's smoking cigarettes. The exposure to tar is at least 46 times, and the exposure to nicotine is at least 1.7 times. In actually, from what I found, in the exposure to carbon monoxide can actually go up to 9 times compared to traditional cigarettes. So what does this all mean? Well, because we know that carbon monoxide, tar, and tar especially are some of the compounds that are involved that bring about the bad side effects of smoking that we talk about. Because of those high levels of carbon monoxide and those high levels of tar, you are likely to develop cancer all the way from your mouth, where the smoke enters from, your gullet, which is your esophagus, your stomach. So smoking shisha puts you at risk of all those things. For males, it's actually also been associated with infertility. Okay, so there's also been an association with shisha and infertility in male patients. For women that are smoking shisha during pregnancy, they're likely to have a smaller baby. And of course, shisha is going to put you at an increased risk of having lung cancer. So shisha is really very dangerous. I think everybody should know that. I think people deserve to know the truth about shisha. And if you didn't know that shisha is actually putting you at a greater risk of all these cancers compared to our traditional grandfathers that just used to smoke traditional cigarettes, it's something you need to know, and how you use this information is purely up to you. We hope that you can use this information to make informed decisions, because informed decisions is when you say, yes, I understand the risk of cancer is probably much, much higher with me smoking shisha than somebody else who doesn't. And I choose that when I do have lung cancer, that's okay with me. That's an informed decision and nobody should judge you for it. But if you're making decisions without knowing the implications, this would be a good turning point for you to just stop and think about it, especially for the young people, because the future is really bleak. In a survey that was done, actually, it was found that at least 40% of young people are using shisha. Are you among them? If so, were you aware of all these bad complications that can come up? Thank you very much for watching this video, and please share it to as many people as possible and help a friend.